we should both get tea and both do it.
Oh, you want to? Really,
like a sophisticated
like
interview. It's like we cross our legs.
I'll get in later.
First of all, the 3D visuals were absolutely phenomenal. I mean, and you've gone on record and you've actually said that you weren't happy with the second film. And I know you've been talking about this a lot recently. What did you learn from the second movie that you were able to make yourself improve on in this movie? And because you actually said yesterday on the carpet, like you weren't happy when you finished 2.
Sure.
You didn't want to go out. You weren't excited. So
sure.
What is it about this one that you learned from the second one?
I mean, I equate it to like, I saw a documentary before I left, Heart of Darkness, where Francis Ford Coppola is shooting Apocalypse Now, and he looks in the camera about 20 minutes into the movie, and he says he's in the jungles, and he's frenetic, and his eyes are red, and he's on the verge of tears. This is a movie he's been prepping for 12 years. This was gonna be the movie that started American Zoetrope. It was a major movie. He'd been working on it for 12 years, knew exactly the movie he wanted to make, and he looks into the camera about maybe 2-3 weeks after being in there, in the Philippines, and he says, I have too much money, I have too much crew, I have no script, and I'm gonna shoot myself in the head. And that's sort of like where we were at in the second movie. We were given a date, we were given a bunch of money, we were given a bunch of toys, and we had no script. And it was a writer's strike, so you couldn't get one if you wanted one. So we were writing on the fly, and we weren't making a movie to make a good movie, we were making a movie to hit a date. And we didn't go about it this way, this time. And I think you sort of needed the second movie to be received the way it was, to propel everybody who showed up on this set to give it what they gave it. All the mistakes that we learned, like for instance, just the geography, like simple things, I think the movie has to be simplified. When movies get complicated, they become shit. And like the second movie was so complicated. You're in Egypt and you're through a wormhole and you're in Cancun and you know where you are. You know who's fighting who. Here's this animatronic elbow hitting this animatronic face, but you're so tight in on it, you don't know who it is. You don't know who the villain and who the hero is. You don't know what the spear of what. I mean, you just get confused. Yeah. And when you get confused, you can't enjoy anything. And so really, like, Mike's main point coming to this was sort of simplification of everything. Definitely the geography. He basically said, I want to make Transformers Black Hawk Down. And that's sort of what he tried to do in the last hour. Sort of the geography is built the same way. All that urban fighting, you know where you are. It's the first time where you literally have humans fighting robots eye to eye level. Like he figured out the altitude changes, and it's the most beautiful action he's ever orchestrated, I think.
I had nerd tears just streaming down my face. I told you that yesterday. One of my favorite lines in the movie is like, in the beginning of the film, your character is looking for a job.
Yeah.
And your girlfriend in the film is, she's trying to get you motivated to get a job, and you look at her and you say, I just want to matter.
Yeah.
What do you think it is in life that makes us matter? What is that makes us matter?
Well, a lot of people like to put, all their eggs in the occupation basket. But like, again, it's just your occupation. I don't know. I think.
Do you think the job is that really what makes us, though?
I think the majority of people nowadays, value, basically define themselves based on their occupation. It's like the second question out of anybody's mouth. Hey, what's your name? What do you do? That's just the way the world is now. I think. I don't know. I'm not one for like public charity or anything like that. And I'm not really like Mother Teresa either. But like I feel good when I throw like a couple bones to the dude on the side of the freeway or something like that. I do stuff like that, but never to outrageous amounts. But that stuff seems to matter more. Feeding a dude who doesn't eat.
Yeah. There's these great scenes where you're doing interviews. I love that montage, and my favorite one was obviously with John Malkovich in the film. Just an amazing sequence. Do you remember? I know you've been acting since you were very young, but do you remember like your first like real job interview? I mean, I know you. I mean, obviously an audition would be a job interview. Yeah. So like, do you remember like how nervous you were for a particular audition or a job interview?
Oh yeah, man. I remember.
Or a job interview?
Oh yeah, man. I remember. My first auditions, I used to like. I'd get there like 2 hours early. I would lie to all the other people sitting in the waiting room and tell them that I had already booked the role and I was there to do chemistry tests with the other actors. And actors would get up and leave the waiting room, And so it was just like mine by trial by fire, sort of. I was like the only guy there to audition, so they had to hire me. I would do things like that, and I was very competitive. Like some guys go to auditions and they're like, "Hey man, good to see you again." And you sort of see everybody at every audition. I was never friendly to anybody. It was sort of like, "Look, we're after the same, we're after the same piece of meat, dude. Go sit over and leave me alone."
Look where you are now.
Yeah, I mean,
in one of the biggest movies of all time.